I stood by the window, watching the late afternoon sun cast a golden hue over our suburban neighborhood. With its manicured lawns and gleaming SUVs, it had always seemed like a picture-perfect slice of American life. But beneath that glossy surface, I sensed the whispers and glances directed at my son, Jake. Just last week, he had landed a job as a mechanic, and while he was over the moon, the neighbors, oh, they were a different story. As I heard the muted laughter drifting from the backyard barbecue across the street, my stomach twisted. A mechanic? How quaint. One of the women had clucked. I thought that family aimed higher. They'd snickered, their faux-friendly smiles more like daggers. Little did they know, my heart broke with every jibe hurled at my boy. Jake wasn't just a mechanic. He was a fierce worker with dreams as big as they come. "What's wrong, Mom?" Jake asked one evening, glancing up from the greasy parts spread across the kitchen table. I could see the harshness of the neighborhood's teasing lingering in his eyes. "You're not mad about my job, are you?" "No, sweetheart, it's just—" My words faltered. How could I explain that their mockery stung like a bee? "I just wish people could see how hard you work," I finally managed. As I watched him clean his tools, determination radiated off him, defiant in the face of lesser opinions. He was so much more than they realized. Then everything changed. A fierce storm rumbled toward us, dark clouds swirling ominously overhead. As tornado sirens blared, I felt a shiver of dread crawl down my spine. When the storm hit, trees fell, and fences collapsed, and my heart raced in tandem with the chaos outside. The next morning, as neighbors emerged from their homes, unsure how to recover from the storm's fury, I saw Jake, clad in a tattered work shirt, loading his truck. He wasn't just there to assess damage, he was ready to help. "Hey, need a hand?" I heard him call to the neighbors who once mocked him, his voice steady, filled with unfaltering grit. In that moment, everything shifted. Tornadoes might tear down walls, but they would also reveal who truly stood behind them. Stay tuned what would happen when they discover Jake isn't just any mechanic, but their landlord. The truth is about to unspool, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. But before we unravel the next layer of this story, a quick reminder for all of you watching: YouTube has been purging subscriptions. So check if you're still subscribed, and show us your support with a like. Now, back to the stormy revelations. As the sun broke through the clouds the day after the storm, it felt like a scene straight out of a movie, the kind where hope rises anew. I watched from our front porch, heart swelling with pride, as Jake's truck rolled down the street, tools rattling in the back. With each house he visited, he transformed from the neighborhood's jest into a beacon of help. "Let's get those fallen branches cleared," he called out, grinning at the startled faces. I could see the confusion in their eyes oscillating with uncertainty. They had laughed at my son just days before. Now they were being offered salvation by the very person they'd derided. Thanks, Jake," one neighbor stammered, glancing back at the wreckage of his front yard. The same man who'd scoffed at Jake's dreams just the week prior now stood vulnerable, needing exactly what my son was ready to provide. I could see it, the dawning realization beginning to bloom. "Don't mention it. Just doing what I can." Jake's confidence shimmered like the sun breaking through the clouds above. But I could sense there was more beneath the surface of his smile. This was his moment, his chance to show them that a job isn't just about a title, but also about the impact one can make in people's lives. "Do you think you could help with my roof too?" another man asked hesitantly, rubbing the back of his neck. "Absolutely," Jake replied, enthusiasm bubbling in his voice. As I watched him work tirelessly throughout the day, laughter slowly replaced the awkward silence surrounding him. It felt surreal. Only a day ago, he was the butt of their jokes. Now, he was steadily mending the very fabric of our community. Unbeknownst to them, he wasn't just repairing roofs, he was mending perceptions and rewriting his narrative. I felt an unshakable warmth spread in my chest. But as the day faded into dusk, I couldn't help but wonder, when would they realize the full extent of Jake's brilliance? What was the catalyst that would finally unveil the hidden truth about our family? Make sure to stick around for the next chapter, as it promises to flip everything on its head. And if you're enjoying this journey, hit that like button and show us you're in. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's next. The days following the storm were a whirlwind of activity. Jake was a flurry of energy, darting from house to house, repairing roofs, clearing debris, and earning back the respect he'd always deserved. Each time someone hesitated before approaching him, I could feel the tension in the air shift, as if they were battling with the reality of their past judgments against the undeniable truth unfolding before them. One afternoon, I spotted Mr. Thompson, the very same neighbor who'd ridiculed Jake just a week ago, standing on his porch with an uncertain look. Hesitating, he finally approached my son, who was fixing a fence nearby. "Jake," he began, his voice low. I really appreciate what you're doing. For all of us?" Jake paused, wrench in hand, and offered a nod of acknowledgement. "No problem, Mr. Thompson. Just doing what needs to be done," he replied, his humility shining brighter than the sun above. It was the turning point, an unspoken forgiveness lingering in the air, binding them together in shared hardship. The more Jake helped, the more I noticed the neighbors' laughter fading, replaced by an emerging gratitude. And yet, when the topic of our family's properties came up in hushed conversations, uncertainties still flickered in their eyes. What if he's just covering for his lack of a real job? I could imagine them whispering, "How can a mechanic truly be someone of importance?" But that importance loomed closer every day. Soon, the truth would tumble forth like a wave crashing against the shore. As dusk fell one evening, I overheard Jake talking to his friends outside. "You know, I was just a mechanic. But it feels good to be needed," he said, the gravel in his voice hinting at his fatigue yet laced with pride. That's when a thought struck me. I had yet to tell Jake about the business dealings we had quietly nurtured over the years. All the properties generating income, and how he was part of something bigger than he had ever imagined. Should I break the news? Would it change how he saw his own accomplishments? The dialogue became a weight on my chest. I decided I had to find the right moment. One that would not only clarify Jake's ambitions but confirm what his neighbors were about to discover. But as secrets have a way of doing, time was slipping through my fingers. What would happen when the truth emerged? Would it create division or unite us all? Stick around for our next chapter. A revelation is on the horizon, and you won't want to miss how the community reacts to Jake's true identity. And hey, if you're on this journey with us, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe. More twists await just over the horizon. I stood on the porch, my heart racing with both apprehension and excitement. The storm had washed away the barriers between us and our neighbors. But the lingering question was whether those new connections could withstand the truth I was holding, the truth about Jake's true identity as their landlord. As the sun dipped beneath the horizon, transforming the sky into a canvas of violet and gold, I pondered the perfect moment to share this secret. After days of hard work, sweat, and rising respect, Jake was no longer just the mechanic who lived down the street. He was the warm light in a neighborhood that had recently shrouded him in darkness. Yet still, a part of me was worried. Why hadn't I told him sooner? Would revealing our family's financial status change the way he viewed his achievements? "Mom," Jake shouted, breaking me from my thoughts. He was standing at the edge of our yard, a broad smile lighting up his face. "You won't believe what just happened. Mrs. Thompson came over, and guess what? She said she'd recommend me to her brother-in-law. He needs help with his classic car restoration." "Really?" I asked, trying to contain my excitement. "That's amazing, Jake. It sounds like all your hard work is paying off." "Totally. It feels good to be appreciated for what I do, you know." He looked genuinely thrilled, and there was something magical in his face that shifted from the victim of mockery to a man filled with purpose. I watched him, pride bubbling up in my chest as he wrestled with the gears of his own destiny. But still, the weight of the truth sat heavy on my shoulders like an unwelcome guest. Just as I was trying to muster the courage to reveal our family's secret, a rough flip in the atmosphere interrupted my moment. A black SUV rolled down the street, the familiar face of Mr. Hill, our neighbor known for his booming voice and overbearing presence. I immediately sensed something was off. The jovial community spirit that had flourished amidst wreckage and recovery began to wane. Mr. Hill jumped out of his vehicle with an air of urgency, striding toward Jake. "Hey," he called, his eyebrows knitted. "We need someone to look at the plumbing in my house. It's a mess after the storm, and I heard you're great at fixing things. Can you help?" I felt Jake's excitement brimming to the surface. "Of course, Mr. Hill. I'd be happy to help. When do you want me to come over?" "Now, like ASAP." Mr. Hill barked, and for a second, I saw the spark of hesitation flicker in Jake's eyes before he collected himself. While they discussed plans, I felt the stir of tension fluttering within me. How could I allow this moment to slip away without enlightening Jake about the great foundation he was standing on? As readiness brewed within me, I knew my moment had to come, and soon. "If you're not too busy after the plumbing, maybe we can tackle that old fence of yours," Jake offered, his confidence soaring as Mr. Hill seemed to backtrack, nodding eagerly, something more than appreciation contagious in their exchange. "Absolutely. Just bring your tools, and I'll have the coffee ready." Mr. Hill turned, glancing over his shoulder, a strange glint in his eyes, like he was trying to reconcile what he had assumed and what was evolving before him. I could see the wheels turning in the community's mind, questions, assumptions, and realizations coursing through unspoken connections. But there was one part of the puzzle they still hadn't seen clearly. As night fell, I called Jake inside. "Sweetheart, can we talk? There's something important you need to know." He looked curious and slightly apprehensive, a mixture that tugged at my heartstrings. "Is it about school? Did I do something wrong?" "No, Jake, not at all," I said, gesturing for him to sit at the kitchen table, candlelight flickering between us. "This is about something you've been building without even knowing. It's about who you are in this community." With a deep breath, I began to share our family's history, how I'd invested in properties, how we had built a comfortable life through property management, and how all this success was paving the way for him. At first, I wasn't sure how he'd react. Would he feel burdened by the family legacy, or empowered by the information? His face transformed, the shock lurking within his eyes slowly dissolved into understanding. "Are you saying I'm like the landlord?" he muttered, processing the weight of the news. "So, all this time, I was helping out people who rely on us." "Yes," I burst with pride, the words spilling forth like a spring thaw. "Jake, you're more than just a mechanic. You're part of something bigger. Think about it, those people respect you now, because you showed up in their time of need. They've been reassessing their view of you. Imagine how that will evolve when they realize they're not just your neighbors but your tenants." Jake sat back, astonished. "I had no idea, Mom. But do they know? Like, are they okay with that?" "Not yet. But I believe, after all this community support, they'll come to understand that it doesn't change how they see you. What matters is what you've done for them. Your actions define you." His eyes sparkled with newfound determination, as if underpinning the very truth of who he truly was. "I can handle it, Mom. I want them to know. And if they appreciate my work now, just wait until they see what I can do moving forward." I smiled, filled with a renewed sense of hope. The upcoming neighborhood meeting was looming, and it would be the perfect platform for him to unveil his true identity. Soon, everyone would understand the depth of his character, the true essence of his ambition. As we prepared for that next monumental chapter, I could barely contain my excitement. The neighborhood was already changing, and it was merely the beginning. All I had to do was guide Jake to the moment when he would own who he was, and redefine his connection to those who once mocked him. Make sure to tune in next time, because the unveiling of Jake's true identity as their landlord is set to shake this community to its core. You won't want to miss this pivotal turning point. It's the climax we've all been waiting for. And don't forget to like and subscribe. This journey is just about to reach new heights. As the neighborhood meeting approached, I could feel the anticipation crackling in the air, like electricity before a storm. Jake and I spent the days leading up to it nervously preparing for the inevitable reveal. I had stressed the importance of being honest and staying true to himself when he spoke. Well aware that this was his moment, not just to share our secret but to embrace the respect he had earned through hard work and kindness. On the evening of the meeting, I noticed more than just the usual excitement in the air. There was a palpable change in the neighborhood. Uncertainty and hesitation were giving way to camaraderie. The once mocking faces were replaced by those who had come to see Jake as a pillar of our community. They'd witnessed his unwavering commitment to helping them rebuild after the storm. But tonight they would learn just how deeply intertwined his life was with theirs. As we arrived at the community center, the room buzzed with chatter. Friends and neighbors mingled while I kept an eye on Jake, who stood at the back, glancing around nervously. "You've got this, honey," I whispered, squeezing his hand as we walked to the front. "Thanks, Mom," he replied, taking a deep breath. The moment had arrived, and as I held on to my own nerves, I felt a spark of pride for the man he had become. Mr. Hill gave a brief introduction, praising Jake for his efforts after the storm, and suddenly all eyes were on him. Jake stepped forward, and there it was, his determination radiated from him like the confidence of a lion. Hi everyone," he started, gripping the microphone tightly. "I know we've all been through a lot lately, but I wanted to say that helping you all, whether it was fixing your homes or just lending an ear, felt really good. I care about this community." He paused, glancing at the mixture of faces in the audience, gauging their reactions. "But there's something else you need to know about me," he continued. "I didn't just appear out of nowhere to help. I'm the landlord of many of the homes in this neighborhood. My family and I own those properties." The room fell silent. Tension filled the air as his words landed. I held my breath, knowing the truth would create waves. Expecting disbelief or ridicule, I was taken by surprise when Jake's admission sparked whispers of understanding, then applause. "It means a lot, man," a voice from the back called out. "Thanks for being there for us." One after another, neighbors stood to share their gratitude, recounting moments when Jake had quietly gone out of his way to lend a helping hand. From fixing leaks to giving rides, every act of kindness laid the foundation for a newfound respect. The discussion soon turned into a dialogue about community and the real meaning of success. It was no longer about titles or prestige. It was about being there for one another, embracing hard work, and recognizing everyone's worth, especially Jake's. As the evening came to a close, I watched Jake interact with his fellow neighbors, their laughter echoing through the hall, and pride washed over me. The journey that had begun with mockery had culminated in admiration, respect, and friendship. As we made our way home, I turned to him. "You were incredible tonight, Jake. You turned this entire community around. You showed them who you really are." He smiled, an expression of joy and accomplishment lighting up his face. "I did, didn't I? It feels great. Thanks for believing in me, Mom. That's because you believed in yourself, sweetheart. Never forget that." And with that, I couldn't help but feel that this story was just the beginning. Our community was stronger than ever, and the bonds forged would only grow deeper from here. As we close this chapter, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. More inspiring journeys lie ahead, and I'd love to have you along for the ride. Remember, it's never too late to discover your own worth while lifting others up, all while turning mockery into admiration along the way. See you soon.